Hello, everybody, and welcome to Table Talk. My name is Joni Rampolla, one of the registered licensed dietitians with Giant and Martin's. And this month in Table Talk, we're all about the summer harvest. So I was talking to my counterpart here, Jenna, and we were discussing our new Nature's Promise greenhouse grown salads and went, you know what? We should make this a table talk. Jen, want to take a moment to introduce yourself and then we'll
Yes,
dive into questions.
of course. So, hi everyone. For those of you who are regulars, my name is Jenna Wood, and I am a dietitian here with the Giant Company as well. I feel like salads, salad greens, perfect topic for dietitians to chat about.
Yep. So let's just dive right in if you're okay with that.
Sounds good.
So I'm excited to share something that is relatively new that hit the store shelves in our Giant and Martin stores. They are new Nature's Promise greenhouse grown salads. So one thing that just stands out to me about greenhouse grown salads is that these lettuces or greens are grown without pesticides. Can you share what makes that possible and why it matters?
Absolutely. So, you may be familiar with the concept of growing in a greenhouse. Maybe you've purchased things in a greenhouse before, but this is not like any greenhouse you've probably ever walked into. It really is quite a setup. So, because they are grown inside a greenhouse without being in soil, they are inherently very clean already. No hands ever touch these greens. Because they're inside, they're able to use other types of pest management that have nothing to do with pesticides, insecticides, herbicides. There's no soil, so they're really not growing any weeds or anything like that. So the medium that they grow in is perfect for growing these things without any added anything.
Yeah, that's neat. So I heard their salads are grown hydroponically. Can you break down what that means and why it's a game changer for how we grow food?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but the weather has just been insane around here. And the weather, it's very variable, and especially when it comes to farming. So, when you're able to grow something in a greenhouse inside, the weather doesn't really matter. You're able to control that climate that goes on inside. So, growing them hydroponically means it's indoors, it's climate controlled. I think it's like 72 degrees, like a perfect temperature inside. And that reduces, again, exposure to things that could be in the environment outside. And this hydroponic system, again, they're grown in like a water medium that has all of the nutrients the plants need and nothing that they don't. And this really minimizes a lot of contamination risk. And really, it's just quite a food safe product, which we talk a lot about food safety in our classes.
Absolutely. So a comment that just had a salad using this. They're very good and a rival of Little Leaf.
There you go.
And then another comment or question. What about nutrients since they are not grown in soil? Is there any benefit to growing hydroponically?
Absolutely. So thinking about like, yes, you can control some things when it comes to soil and what you're adding, but when you're growing in a different medium like this, they're able to add exactly the types of vitamins, minerals, things that these plants need to thrive and nothing extra. Because you can't fully control what's going on in the soil outside. So definitely a lot of benefits that way.
Excellent. Let's explore freshness of these greens. Can you speak about their freshness?
Absolutely. So I actually picked up one too. So I have and they look so beautiful. They have greenhouse grown written here. This is our sweet baby butterleaf, and they look so nice and fresh. But because they're grown in a greenhouse, again, the climate is controlled so perfectly, and they're able to keep them nice and chilled, no higher than 72 degrees. But once they get into that picking, which again isn't done by hands, it's done by a machine, it's nice and cool. And we want our leafy greens to stay nice and cool. So they, in theory, are going to stay fresher much longer because they're in that very controlled environment. So nice and cool as they're growing, as they're harvesting, cool, trucks getting them to our stores and then on the shelves and into your cold refrigerator too. So additionally, it has a shorter, harvest to your refrigerator timeline. And so again, it's going to be a fresher product.
So something just stood out of me, what you just said. It's never been touched by human hands when you
Right?
get that
That's
lettuce. That's
crazy.
crazy to think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, machine picked, controlled environment. So yes, it's probably the freshest. And Donna said she just saw the hydroponically grown stuff done at Disney Epcot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. Can they grow in water?
Yes. So a lot of different plants. It's a totally different growing concept than growing in soil, but certainly they have perfected that process.
Yep. So, question, sustainability is top of mind for many of our shoppers. How does greenhouse farming help support a more sustainable food system?
Absolutely. So every part of this system can be more sustainable. So they can use less water. They're grown, hydroponically, but they're able to reuse, recycle this water, clean it so that they can use it multiple times. It takes up a lot less land because they're being so conscious of how much space these plants are taking up than traditional farming. It can grow year round instead of only being able to grow greens in this region in the summer and in the warmer months. They're able to grow year round, so we're not relying on distant greens. Additionally, they can capture rainwater and do a lot of recycling. The yield is increased, which is good for sustainability, fewer miles. So I think statistically, greenhouse growing like this can reduce water use by 80%, land use by 90%, which I thought was
Mm.
crazy, and then 95% less shipping, fuel, and other costs than traditional field grown lettuces, which is just another bonus to all the ones we talked about.
That's kind of amazing when you
Yeah.
think about it. Like it's a really big change from
Mhm.
traditional lettuces. Yeah, that's awesome. So I know I'm a visual learner. Like we talk about it, I want to see it, and I'm sure others do. Can you walk us through the different varieties that are in our Nature's Promise
Absolutely.
greenhouse grown lineup and what should shoppers be looking for?
Absolutely. So when you walk into your Giant or Martin stores, many of our stores keep on the lookout. It may be, rolling out as we speak, but I know my local Giant has, it'll say greenhouse grown or greenhouse greens right at the top of the section now. And these are the greens we're talking about. So let me pull up this slide because I agree. I like to see what we're talking about. So these are the greens you'll see. Now this was for, I think, the West Grove store I pulled up in Pennsylvania for the Giant. So prices, availability are going to vary. We do have the 4-ounce boxes or, these type of containers you're used to seeing, and then an 8-ounce container. We do have the crunchy green leaf, which I think is probably my favorite. I really like how versatile that one can be. The spring mix, the baby butter lettuce, which is what I have. It is quite good. It does have that sweet butter taste of butter leaf, but I noticed a little bit of a bite too. And then the red and green leaf, and then the 8-ounce versions of these. And we can send these slides. They're very basic, but this just brings you directly to those pages. But I think I also pulled up just some bigger pictures. Again, really nice to see visually the crunchy green leaf, the spring mix, which I think I can read this. It says it's a combination of green leaf, red leaf, frisee. I'm probably not saying that right, but this is a type of like crunchy, curly endive. So it's got a little bit of bitter in there, butter lettuce, romaine, and it says it can vary, which, is kind of fun for a spring mix. Baby butter again, and then the green and red leaf. So that's a nice options there.
Yeah, they all look great.
Yeah.
And just to say, like, there's still the regular Nature's Promise
Yes.
lettuce. This is in addition to that. So you could see both in your shelves. All right, we're getting some customer questions here.
Oh,
Are
good.
they grown in Pennsylvania?
I don't believe there is a greenhouse in Pennsylvania right now, but there
I
are
think the closest is
ever growing.
Virginia. But
Virginia.
yes, it's wherever they're grown, they're definitely closer than California.
Yes. And you should be able to see on your package where it was picked, which again, in terms of transparency, is really nice. So you can see which facility it was grown in.
Yep. Customers asking, are these lettuces comparable to the Little Leaf Farms lettuces that we featured a little while ago? Is the price similar?
I'm not sure about price. Prices can vary store to store, day to day. But in terms of taste, like a lot of them are baby lettuces, they are greenhouse grown, so there will be very likely similarities.
Thank you, Jenna, for your suggestions in Germany.
Okay, you're welcome.
Are these considered organic?
No. So that is a concept often with this new type of technology when it comes to greenhouse grown. They're almost a step above being organic, if that makes sense, because there's no synthetic anything being used. There's no organic pesticides being used. There's nothing being used. There could be some integrated pest management, which could include using other friendly bugs to eat other bugs, but because they are inside and contained, they're able to, keep things that otherwise would be harming the plants just naturally aren't a problem. So yeah, they're not going to be certified organic, but they kind of don't need to be.
Right. And they pay for that certification.
Yeah,
So there's no need to actually pay for it. I
yeah.
agree.
And then that, that cost goes on to the consumer too. So these are just as good, if not better.
And Linda says, great class. Thank you. I would think another advantage would be the lessened threat of salmonella and listeria due to the water supply being contaminated. Absolutely,
Absolutely.
Barbara.
Food safety for sure.
Yep. In our store, they are on sale this week for 350,
Great.
but the regular price is 3.99, the same price as Little Leaf at our store. Thank you for that comment. Appreciate that as well. Good to hear what's going on in your area, but again, prices may be different based on where you are. So, does growing lettuce in a greenhouse change anything when it comes to nutrition? I know you kind of touched on that, but just want to see if there's anything else that you want to explore there.
Yeah, absolutely. So while, as dietitians, we recommend eating more greens, eating more salad, more leafy greens, veggies whenever you can. So regardless of how it's grown, it's going to be a nutritious option. But when I sat down to kind of think about how these are very different than traditionally grown, at first I was like, well, no, there's no way it would probably be different. Lettuce is lettuce. But at the same time, they are taking such care in producing the medium and the water and the nutrients that are going to these plants, it's going to potentially lead to higher quality and content of specific nutrients, things like vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K. Uh, Additionally, some of those vitamins, the longer produce sits on a truck, in the store, in your fridge, it might be losing some of those vitamins as well. So the fact that this is grown, picked in our stores so quickly, the loss should be much lower as well. So yeah, I think there's definitely a slight advantage when it comes to nutrition.
Great. A customer is asking if they grow more than just greens.
That is a great question. I don't know currently.
I don't
There
think
are
they,
other brands and things that probably do grow other things hydroponically and in greenhouses, but our Nature's Promise line is specifically greens at this point.
so customers letting us know that they are free with reward points this week.
Also a great point. Yes. So if you go into your app, into the reward section where you might redeem a 5 point freebie or something like that, there should be a way you can redeem some of your points to get one of these.
And thank you, Sarah, for that hot tip.
Yeah, definitely great.
Do the greens stay fresher longer?
Absolutely. So the quality control and the climate control of these, they should stay longer. I purchased this one in my store last night. It says it's best by 7/22. Um, So we will see. I will eat it way before then. Again, I tend to recommend eating vegetables and things you purchase fairly quickly after purchasing them because, again, you'll lose some of those vitamins if you don't. But yeah, I believe the quality should stay fresher longer.
And also Cynthia sharing that you can use points for them this week. Love that.
Mhm.
Customers asking if you can grow hydroponics at home. Ooh, tough
I'm
one.
not sure. I would think if you had huge greenhouse, I feel like it's something that definitely is easier on a larger scale. But I'm sure there are ways if you have a green thumb like I do not, It's potentially something you could do if you researched and learned how to.
And you could create that environment that
Yeah.
no outside can get to
Mhm.
it. Yes. I was amazed at how long they stay fresh and crispy and crunchy.
Oh,
Thank you
good.
for that comment. Great. Our Aero gardens are hydroponic.
I think I know
Okay.
what that is. Yeah, I think there's
It's another brand, I believe.
yeah, but I think that's more, it's not in a greenhouse necessarily. I think they're like countertop or you can have little lights and things.
How do you store them after purchasing them?
Just like you would any other green, definitely in the fridge as soon as you get home. They definitely need to be refrigerated, but that is all you really need to do. Sometimes once I've opened them, like it does have the peel and reseal, so it's not like a clamshell lid. It sticks back on. Sometimes I'll stick a paper towel in there to just wick off any excess moisture, but really don't, you don't need to wash them. You don't need to rinse them or do anything because again, they haven't been touched by anything. So the recommendation is just to eat as is. They're only 4 ounces, so I tend to eat the whole box the first time I open them. But if you do not reseal it, put it back in the fridge as quickly as you can.
So Jean has a great tip. She lays a paper towel on top of the lettuce, inverts the container in the refrigerator, and it'll last like 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I do that too, Jean. It's funny. Um, Hydroponics does excellent tomatoes also is another comment. Can you grow hydroponically at home? Check out YouTube for directions. All right. Thank you there, Harold. So lettuce isn't just lettuce, right? Do certain varieties offer unique flavors or textures that pair specifically well with other ingredients?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, certainly you can just eat them as is, make the salad you're used to making. But there are nuances when it comes to the different varieties we talked about. So the baby butter leaf, the spring mix, the green leaf, and then the red and green leaf together. So the baby butter is definitely, and I think ours is a sweet variety. So that's definitely going to be the most delicate. Because of the way they're shaped, you often can use them as lettuce cups. And just for more delicate salads, recommendations are to sometimes pair it with something that maybe is a little heavier because you don't necessarily want to overpower them, but you want something that maybe has a little flavor to it, something like avocado or eggs or shrimp, something along those lines. Spring mix is definitely good for your run-of-the-mill salad, but it does have all those varieties in there, so it can vary. Great with berries, chicken, types of whole grains. And again, the variations can be nice to kind of have. There might be some more bitter, not in a bad way, but bitter notes when it comes to like the chicory. The green leaf, again, that's your classic kind of garden salad variety, but also really great on sandwiches, wraps, things like that. Very neutral, good as a blank canvas to add whatever your favorite things are. And then the red and green is going to be a little bit hardier and but also has that nice color variety, so you're getting different nutrients from that red. So that I think the recommendation is often like it's summer, but roasted or grilled vegetables are great with that, feta and other cheeses. So whatever kind of suits your fancy.
I love that. So you're giving me some inspiration here. I want to elaborate on that a little bit because we all love a classic salad, but how are people getting creative with lettuce mixes that get beyond the bowl?
Absolutely. So I love a good salad. I could eat salad every day, but it does get a little boring sometimes. So yeah, like I mentioned, putting it on sandwiches, burgers, wraps, pitas, especially, again, the butter leaf tends to be a really great shape to kind of just stay or use as a cup. Um, I think I will share very quickly, and we can share these too. These are recipes that you can find on our Savory website as well, but we do have some recipe inspiration. Just some different things. Granted, the one is a salad, but it doesn't look like any salad you're probably used to. It has pulled buffalo beef, which sounds so good, with some Parmesan croutons. This is one I have made a couple times. It's a mixed green pesto. So you can use like the spring mix and different things. I think it has frozen peas in there too. But I'm not a big basil fan. So for me, this pesto is perfect. And it's just a little bit, a variation way to use up some greens that you might have. And then this spicy tuna poke bowl. I don't know. That one looks really good. I'm excited to give that one a try. So again, that's like a baby butter leaf that you can utilize for those. So I will share those out. But so many other ways to use salads. I like, roasting, grilling a pizza, and then adding the fresh greens on top. I think Joni, did you make a pizza with, or maybe somebody made a pizza with, greens on top, like a Caesar
Yep.
salad
Yep.
pizza? It's such a fun.
Savory recipe,
Yeah. So
prosciutto
lots of
pizza.
good ways to kind of do that.
Yeah, excellent. Love that. We have some comments here. Um, Someone buys dull, very veggie salad mix at Giant and adds it to the lettuce. Somebody's requesting that I share the questions, so I'm trying to do that. The spring mix, being organic, feeds her daughter's bearded dragon. Ooh, as required by their diet. That's kind of crazy. Excellent. All right. So when it comes to making that salad that actually keeps you feeling full, what are your tips for building a balanced but satisfying salad?
Yeah, absolutely. So leafy greens are not necessarily meant to keep you full. It's what we add to them to kind of make that balanced meal. So, you're getting a little bit of hydration when it comes to lettuce since it is predominantly water, but we want to add things to that, add to the volume. So whether it's pairing it with lean proteins, so we talk a lot about lean proteins, whether it's from fish or shellfish or lean beef, chicken, or vegetarian options like tofu, tempeh, beans, nuts, and seeds. You want to pair it with something that's going to give it that staying power because protein is very satiating. And then healthy fats. So, a lot of times people think about salad dressings or adding cheese or something to be bad, but we truly need fat to absorb some of the vitamins that come in things like leafy greens. So, additionally, healthy fats are going to help us stay fuller longer as well. So you got that nice balance of the leafy greens, maybe some other veggies to add more bulk, and then the protein and healthy fat. You're going to be very satisfied.
I agree. I love that. And
Mhm.
yes, there's good vitamin A source in your greens.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
need that. So somebody is saying they haven't heard of romaine lettuce being grown hydroponically. Do you know of a brand that does, or is there a reason it doesn't?
I believe the spring mix says it has romaine in there, so I would assume. I don't know if they sell romaine by itself exclusively, and I don't know what the reason for that would be, but I think the spring mix does have some romaine in there, which would be grown hydroponically. So maybe it's not as common or is called out for yet. Maybe it's a little bit harder. Anybody's guess, but I believe there are.
All right. And then another comment, hard-boiled eggs and blueberries and strawberries and nuts
Sounds
taste
good.
delicious in a salad. Absolutely. All right, Jenna, let's talk convenience. How can busy people use pre-washed lettuce to make quick meals or grab and go options during the week?
Absolutely. So I think one of the best ways to utilize salad to meal prep is doing things like salad jars. However, you want to be very careful with the way you create salad jars because one of the benefits of eating these greens is that they're fresh and crisp and nice. You don't want to ruin that. So if you're going to make something like a salad jar, which I used to do a lot, big mason jar, you kind of layer everything, dressings on the bottom, then often either the grains, if you have any, or the proteins, maybe it's like chopped up hard-boiled egg or chicken, and then some of those heartier vegetables, maybe it's chopped up carrots, and then I believe you would do the leafy greens last. So they stay nice and fresh right on the top. So I think that's a really great way to meal prep your salads. Otherwise, I mean, honestly, I've mentioned it a million times before, but I can just eat one of these by themselves, throw in some, maybe leftover protein that you have, or maybe you pick up some pre-cooked proteins at your Giant or Martin's, toss a little bit of salad dressing in there. You can either eat it as a salad, throw it into like a burrito, roll it up and eat it as a wrap. So lots of different ways to make it really easy.
So when you say you could just eat that by itself, it just reminded me of a trend. So I'm going to ask you a question. Are there any fun trends that you know of with leafy greens that we might be watching out for?
So I think I might have mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but it's still a thing and is becoming as popular as ever. But the concept of dino or dinosaur time when it comes to leafy greens. So, you all love talking about nutrition and watching nutrition, and we're dietitians, but not everybody likes to eat their leafy greens. So there's a mom out on TikTok who, there's so many things we have to balance in our lives, and she just wasn't eating the amount of greens she wanted. So she started to like literally just shove those leafy greens in her mouth and eat them as she was preparing maybe the rest of her meal or doing something. So
No plate, no fork, no
literally
bowl,
right
just
out of the container into her mouth. I don't think I'm going to do that today because I'm sure I'd choke, but which could be a hazard. So it could be fun. It's a fun way to get kids interested in maybe trying. Granted, this was an adult doing it. Um, just be careful to chew your food. But yeah, that's a current trend, which there are worse trends out there on social media. If it gets people to eat more greens, I'm all for
we're
it.
all for it. There
Yeah,
you go. Yeah, so just a follow-up to the previous question, the person that asked about romaine, wondering if it is sold on its own.
I'm not sure. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that either. And,
We'd have to
maybe
look.
just
I
the
can try to
mixes are
look.
more fun. I don't know. But all right, quick food matchup. Should we try something or no?
A quick food
Um,
matchup.
let's talk flavor. What are your top three go-to dressings or toppings to level up a simple salad?
So, if I'm going to do a pre-made salad dressing, I really do love some of the refrigerated we ones, the ones that we carry in our produce department, whether it's Bolthouse Farms or, oh gosh, I can't think of the other names right now. They tend to be a little lower in calories, either made from yogurts and different things, and they're delicious. So, I think there's a good blue cheese, which blue cheese can be super caloric. So, finding one that tastes good but is a little lighter. And then the honey mustard are really, really good. I tend to do the honey mustard with like a chicken or something in that salad. For homemade dressing, so my favorite homemade dressing, it is so simple, but it is my grandmother's. She makes it perfectly. I still can't perfect it quite yet, but it is a Lebanese salad dressing. It's tangy, garlicky, zesty. It's literally just lemon juice, garlic, olive oil, salt, pepper. It comes together so perfectly. And because it is so delicious, I like to pair it very basically with something like the leafy greens, and then, cucumbers, tomatoes, olives. That is it. And while it sounds crazy, we're talking about the freshness and the crispness of these greens. I love the dressing when it is crisp, but something about letting that lemony dressing sit on that salad and eating it the next day, like in a pita, I'm salivating thinking about it. That one is so good. And then I think the last thing for like a topping, there's nothing wrong with croutons, but I do really love roasting beans, things like chickpeas or edamame. We do sell pre-roasted or dried chickpeas and edamame and other beans. I think it just adds a really nice crunch to a salad while also adding the benefits of beans like fiber and protein. So I think that's probably my third of those things.
And you have the comment that that sounds yummy and they would love the
Yes.
recipe if you want to share.
I don't have one other than it's just to taste lemon juice, olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic. And my grandmother minces, it's a lot of garlic, a lot. And she'll mince the cloves into the big bowl and kind of smash them down, adds the salt, the black pepper, and then drizzles in the olive oil and the lemon juice. And I think to taste, like I love mine really lemony. Some family members like it garlicky, so it kind of just depends on what you want.
And I love fruit in my salad too, all
Oh,
different kinds. So I do fruit and
apples.
nuts sometimes, a little sprinkle of feta around it,
Yeah,
a little sweeter taste.
that
Yeah.
does sound good.
Well, that is fun. Well, I am so appreciative of you, Jenna, coming to
Course.
help me share the word about our new Nature's Promise greenhouse grown salads. Hope
Cool.
everybody tries them. It's new to us, and I think it's a great direction that our brand is going.
Agreed.
Any final comments that you want to say?
Just keep looking out in our stores. If you don't see that section yet, give it a couple days. You might see it, but look out for that greenhouse grown. And when you're looking on the package, again, we're going to have our traditional Nature's Promise, but look out for greenhouse grown right above the name of the lettuce.
And thank you, Melinda, who says We're amazing. Appreciate that. Everybody, have a great rest of your day. And thank you so much for joining me here on Table Talk. And thank you, Jenna, for sharing some
Of course.
expertise.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.